Hi guys, Em here, and I'm with Will Byrd from Cold Beer Confessional. Good to see you again.
Yeah, man, good to be here. It's been a while, and I had a bunch of stuff going on. It feels like forever since we've been together.
It has since the last Griftbusters. So most
Yeah,
people watching this will probably know that we're both on the Griftbusters panel for the Griftbusters show. Go check that out if you haven't. Also, we've done shows together, and yeah, we've not caught up properly in quite a while. So
it's
good to
been a
have.
while. I've been kind of away, and it's been a while. It's good to catch up every once in a while with whoever, even if like this one-on-one instead of like the Griftbusters panel, because it's a different style, a different way to catch up.
Absolutely, bit more intimate.
Sure.
But saying that, we've been doing the games nights. I'll quickly plug that. We've been doing
Sure.
so every
So
Friday. Go for
I
it.
started a channel called Everything I've got's themed cold beer. So I started a channel called Cold Beer Creations, and it was kind of like my hobby channel. And then I wanted to start doing a game night. With it's more of a you have to kind of get into the game. It's not just like tic tac toe or something. It's based on like a tabletop RPG game, but you're one of the characters in it, and some of the people from my community are in it. And we're like 5 or 6 weeks deep. There's episodes already up. It's been pretty fun though. I mean, I've really enjoyed it, even though I'm not even playing. I'm setting up the game. It's been fun for me for sure.
Yeah, created the universe that we play in. You've
Right.
created figurines to represent us. You've created sets. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons type,
Sure.
role playing world, I guess. And we're sitting there and we're just having a Friday night playing a game, basically. And it's not, something that I've not done before, but it should be fun, and it is. So anyone that wants to check that out, perhaps go back and watch the first episode to
Sure.
try and get an idea of what it's all about. But basically, yeah, we're in this role playing universe that Will has made. If you could briefly explain kind of what that universe is, because it kind of connects
Yeah.
to what we do, looking at grifters, right?
Sure. The first game I like so I first of all I started watching other channels that did like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and I like the storyline and stuff even though I'm not big on Dungeons or Dragons part of it. I just like how you can kind of do anything with that system. So what I wanted to do was overlap from my main channel to my game channel so it would draw more people over and they would get interested, because if you're not interested in it, you're not going to if the first episode doesn't catch you something enticing, you're never going to watch enough of it to understand what's even going on. I have people all the time. It's like, it's not for me. That's fine. But
Yeah.
so I built a universe where the the bad people is like it's like a church / political group that's taken over, that are worshipers of the one with the orange hair to signify Trump. And then a lot of the monsters and people you all fight and battle against and stuff are based off some of the people that I cover in my show. I mean, they might be a giant 3-headed dragon or hydra or a giant slug in a dungeon, but it's still based off those characters, and we use some of their catchphrases and stuff. It's been
Well,
it's
that's
been pretty fun.
Slug Kuzma.
Yeah, Slug Kuzma. It's been fun, and one of the aspects I wanted to add to it that I kind of stole from another show is like we have people in the game that can use magic and stuff, but the church is trying to ban magic unless it's like their approved Trump magic. So they try to hide it, they try to cover it up, and it adds to some pretty funny encounters when they're trying to explain away their what they did or how they used it or whatever. It's been a really fun show. It's about to the first session of that with the 6 weeks is about to wrap up, and so if you're interested in it, we're going to need new players. I've already got another game lined up. We'll probably recycle some players that want to play again, and then we'll probably pick up some new players. But I've got a new idea for a game, kind of set in a high school without the grifter stuff, but still it'll be interesting. If you got hooked in the first one, you'll love the second one.
I'm having so much fun. We've got a few episodes left.
Sure.
Guys, go check it out. It's been great, and I'm sure that then you'll build on that, and the amount of work you put into it with the 3D printing of our characters,
Yeah.
our character sheets, making sets for it. Actually designing, making these sets to make to have a visual of what's going on in the battleground. Honestly, go check it out if you haven't. If you do start from the beginning, like I say, so you don't get lost. Because if you're just starting halfway through, you're just gonna be like, "What the hell is going on? What's this magic? That's, who's this dog Rusty that M apparently has?" It
Stolen.
just is wild or stolen, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's good fun, and I can see it being evolving even further. And yeah, I'd totally be up for, after having fun with the first one, being a part of another one. Maybe not the next one, but you mentioned something about maybe doing a zombie universe at some point, and I'm a massive
Yeah.
fan of zombie literature, so
So
I'd be down
I've
for that.
been, yeah, for sure. I've been watching a few different people who do like it's more like a survival based game, and it'll be like some type of apocalyptic, whether it's zombies or nuclear wasteland or even like some of the video games that are already out there. But it so basically the first day you start, like the first day in game, is the best day ever. After that, you're going to be wounded and people are going to die and stuff is going to go downhill. So it's almost like a endurance. So how long can you live? And right now, if I had a player die, I've been trying to. I'm not great at it, so if you don't know, you'll just have to watch it over on Cold Brew Creations. But I've never done this before, like been in charge, and I've never even played before other than like little one-time sessions, like never a long game. So I got Raina and Zay, who are two of my longtime viewers who play all the time Dungeons and Dragons. They play weekly, and their kids play and their friends play. So I got them to help me. So I'm not great at it, but if I would have messed up bad enough to kill a player, I was going to let you guys re-roll one. So new character, I'll print you off a new thing, and you can stay in game. But when you do a survival one, it's basically like when you're dead, I mean, you get up and leave
That's
the
it.
table, and it's like emotional. You get attached to your characters and your
Yeah.
friends, and it's crazy. But I do like the idea of, well, we got supplies, we got food, we're stocked up, everybody's healthy, and then as you go on, maybe a few weeks, now we've lost 2 members, we're almost out of food. There's not as much world to explore, like of it degrading that way. I think that's an interesting concept.
I think it makes it a bit more real as well if there's the actual danger of dying, like not
Sure.
actually dying on air, like but
Right.
like you lose your spot in the game. So
Sure.
now moving on to other things, like what's going on with you, Will? Like so much has happened.
Yeah.
Obviously we've been on Griftbusters together, but with yourself before the last Griftbusters, in fact, your personal life kind of was
Yeah.
put on air in
Turmoil.
terms of you were in a situation where you needed a place to live, and you put yourself out there to say that. And I know that people watching my channel might have seen videos where I'd said that Will's in this position. Let's help. Let's help Will and his family. Who you put your family on your show. All of all the people that follow you absolutely
Mm.
love. Your two sons and
Yeah.
Mariah, your family, and just your openness of putting yourselves out there. And your situation was a real one, and one that you were put in, rather
Absolutely.
than making a hole for yourself. And thankfully, you've got to a place now where you've got a new place to live, and it was great to see that from then, when you were putting out there, that you were in that position, to now
Sure.
to seeing that you are kind of through the other end. And it's just great to see. Lots of people really have tried to help and tried to get your family, and really love your family, trying to get you where help you get where you are. But as I said to you as well, you were giving your thanks to everyone that's helped you out to get where you are. But
Sure.
actually, you put in so much work, and you really need to be proud of yourself for that. And I know that you're quite a modest guy, but really, you've stuck your neck out and really have worked for your family. And yeah, so it's great to see basically you coming through the other end, and having now a place for your family. It's like a
Absolutely.
fairy tale ending. Will.
Yeah, a lot of people said that they could see, how happy we were and how happy the kids were. So what happened was it was a broken contract and a whole mess, and I was buying a house rent to own and had sunk a bunch of money in there, even sold vehicles to, like, put down payments and stuff on it, and the contract was broken, and they decided to sell it on the open market, and it was just a lot of it was hard to come out and make the video, but I didn't know where I was going to go, and I didn't have any money kind of saved up or ready to go. So when that all happened, I reached out to the community and just kind of told them what was going on. I may not stream as much, and someone made a GoFundMe for us. Everybody came together. Everybody tried to help us get somewhere to go. And what ended up happening was I was trying to raise enough money to end up with enough money of a down payment to offset, because I don't have a great credit score. I spent quite a bit of time fighting with the VA and losing stuff, and to get my disability set up the way I wanted it. And so we were just trying to raise enough money to offset my bad credit score, so some bank would give me a loan, we could buy a house. While all this was happening, the housing market went outrageous. Like, everything that was in our price range went way out of our price range. And the stuff that we could afford, or that we wanted to make a payment on, was so run down and fixer uppers and stuff that we weren't going to be satisfied with if the bank would even approve a loan on it. So instead of that, we decided to keep biding our time and keep raising money. And we moved to a camper, like a travel trailer, a pull behind travel trailer, and went to a local campground and started paying there monthly. And what I didn't expect is that Mariah actually fell in love. I can sleep anywhere, and as long as the kids are happy and Mariah's happy, I'm fine. Mariah actually fell in love with the campground. And from that, we talked one day, and I was like, we got money in the bank. We've got this camper that we can sell or get rid of. Let's just, it's not big enough. You're not happy with the camper. Let's just buy a bigger one. Let's buy a newer one. Let's try to upgrade the camper and stay right here until the housing market gets better. It'll give me time to fix my credit. We'll be able to make a bigger purchase and maybe even hang on to the camper for vacations and stuff like that in the future. So we started looking everywhere, and we were still kind of outpriced and going to try to get a loan. And luckily we found a guy that had an older camper, so it's cheaper in price, but it was immaculate. He had taken care of everything. He'd had everything replaced that needed replaced. It was ready to go. So even though it's a 2009, I think, but even though it's a 2009, it looks like it might be a year or two old. So we ended up buying that. The kids got their own bunk bed. We got a bath and a half. It's nicer. I was telling Mariah the other day, we were laying in bed talking about how nice it was to each other, because we're stoked about it. And I was telling her that it's nicer than the first apartment we lived in. And the first apartment we lived in wasn't really that big. I mean, this is like longer and skinnier, but still it's nicer than that. So I did a video of a little tour. I had to make it private because it got harassed and downvoted and people attacking. But I just wanted to reach out for everybody and say, hey, like, you guys did as much of this as, financially more than I put in. I know I did the shows and the appearances and was the first one to say something out loud publicly. But as far as financially, you guys did more. Thank you for this. This is our dream. Like, we don't need any more help. I appreciate the time that you had to help me out. Hopefully I'll never be in that position again to where I'll have to, ask for help from anybody and can just make it through. But I couldn't believe the engagement that we got, the people that come out, the overflowing of people ready to give and help and move. And
it was beautiful.
I said in the video, like, complete strangers on the internet helped me more than a sibling that I spent my whole life with, who has still to this day hasn't called and checked on us. Like, it's crazy how people came together for that. And I really do appreciate it. We love our camper, and love the campground, love the spot we're in, and Mariah's happy. So I'm happy. That's basically the way it works.
And your kids, both your kids seem happy.
Oh yeah, they love the bunk bed. They got a couch in their room and a place to do their homework. All the stuff they didn't have. The old camper, their room was just like 2 beds, then a real small walkway, and then like their TV was mounted on a dresser. And if they had opened the dresser, everybody had to leave the room. You couldn't be like standing there and open the dresser. Now they've got all the end wall is their storage. They got their own TV in there again. But it's out of the way, and they got a couch they can sit on. They got their own bathroom. They love it. They feel like they got their own mini apartment, and they can hide from us.
If you could call a camper a mansion, in those terms. Like, dude, this thing's got loads of space, and it's
especially after coming from that smaller camper. And then, so we put all our stuff from a 4-bedroom with a bonus room house in storage. And then we went to that tiny camper and nothing fit. But now that we got used to that tiny camper and went to the bigger camper, we actually were able to go get some stuff out of storage and use it again. It's amazing how much you think you need a lot, and you really don't, but it's all to add convenience or to store stuff or whatever. And we've really learned to live with less, and we're really happy about it. I mean, like a lot of people are like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't live. Well, we can, and we enjoy it. So I appreciate the help. Everybody put a roof over our head, and when I could, and I really do appreciate that.
What I can say is, if you are, you can't be being paid by the CIA or the deep state, because otherwise you'd be able to buy the house without this nonsense, right?
Yeah. So I kind of knew it was coming, even from some people who were fans of me at the time, because there's several times that I've had to stop the show and say, no, wait. It's not wrong to have ads. It's not wrong to have super chats. It's not wrong to sell merch. At least for me, I think it's wrong. And the reason I'm calling people grifters is because they're lying or cheating or insinuating or finding fake sources and spreading it out, saying they work for this guy or that guy, and just lying to people for a profit. Now that's of course wrong. And so I knew it was coming as soon as I said something about, I need help. And we got a lot of, oh, you say this guy can't sell merch, but you're asking people to buy you a house, and you're doing this and you're doing that. And I knew it was coming, but it is what it is. Like I needed help. I was in a situation that I've never been in before. I don't make a lot on disability. So when this all happened, it wasn't like I had a giant nest egg. I think I had like a couple grand in the bank. I had a poor credit score, and people come together to help. And it was like an emergency situation. And again, hope I never end up in that situation again. But then we've got other people lying and saying, oh, just buy this silver twice the price of spot price, and I'll collect the profit. But silver is going to go up to $100 or $50,000 an ounce or $20,000 an ounce, which is an absolute lie, and no one could guarantee that. Those people are lying, or saying like, oh, by the way, if you want to keep my content coming, where I tell you about all the clones and all the people in Gitmo and all this and all the reasons Joe Biden's wearing a mask, then you gotta donate, because I can't take a job anywhere else. I don't require anybody to donate. The show's free. If I do a good job or whatever, and you want to leave a tip, fine. If you don't, fine. I'm never going to say anything about that. But this was a different type of situation. It was above and beyond like lying to my followers to, sell silver or buy a Tesla or whatever. This was, hey, this is an emergency. This happened. I didn't want to share it. I didn't want to be in this position. I didn't want to be this vulnerable, but I don't know where else to turn, because like the family that I do stay in touch with doesn't have the means and resources. Some of my family I'm not in touch with, I don't speak with, and I don't have anywhere else to turn except here. And it all started just because I was complaining about it. I was like, man, this is a bad situation. I just got booted from my house. I've got, $40,000 wrapped up into this house. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get any of it out. It was a mess, but I knew a lot of the hate was coming. And that was part of why it was so hard to make the video. I wanted to make sure I was clear and concise about what I was doing and why. And it came, but I mean, it passes too. It is what it is.
You did well, and you were going to get, as you said, you expected to get some hate, and that probably added to your anxiety. But really, knowing the position you were in, it was absolutely the right thing to do. You had this network, people that avidly followed, and you did this service. Not that
Sure.
You would rely on that, but just you were spending 4 hours a night or so, more or less. At one point, 7 days a week.
Oh yeah,
who are you
for a
going to
long
tell?
time.
You're going to tell your friends, and
Yeah.
these are your friends at this point, because these are the people that you spend a third of the day on air with.
Absolutely.
So, without going, too much further into this situation, because I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the people that are attacking you for the situation, I will say myself, and this is, if you guys watch my channel, you will know that I'm not in the best situation myself. I've never given to, and I'm not discouraging you giving to. Perhaps you should give to YouTubers that give good content. But I'm just saying, I've never given to anyone else, and you know, not trying to frame. Oh yeah, well I've given to you, Will. But you know, what I'm trying to say is, I feel this is a worthy cause, because anyone that knows Will and knows Will's channel and knows Will's family because of being involved in that will see that, and you know, people will do, you know, because you give people joy or a service or
absolutely provide a service. Yeah,
exactly.
Like you said, we're at a point now where we have stability. That's what we were looking for. The worst part was, you know, knowing that we were going to be unstable, and we didn't know where we'd be moving, and we didn't know when the housing market would change, and we didn't know, is this camper going to be good for winter, or can we even afford a bigger camper or a house? Can we do this? Can we do this? And now we're at a spot where we can just take a breath. Like we got a buffer room. We got a nice place to live. We got plenty of room, plenty of storage, ready for winter. Everything's going good now. And that stability, it's hard to put a price tag on that, because until your life's been turned upside down, and you don't know where you're going to go to next, and you don't have someone saying there's room over here, or you can stay with us for a while. It's hard to quantify what it feels like to not have a place to go and not know where you're going. But luckily, with the community coming together, they took a lot of that away. I you know, almost right off the bat, we raised, you know, 10, 15, then 20, and it got all the way up to a little over $30,000, which some of it went to expenses and stuff. But it was actually, right now, one of the greatest things was, I was worried that I was going to have to sell the old camper to have enough money to buy a new one, and that would leave me at some point camper shopping with no home. But with the $30,000, we were actually able to raise enough money to where I own the new one and the old one, and I can sell the old one and get get a truck to move it around and get some supplies and stuff like that I need. So we really appreciate that. We're in a good spot now where I don't have to worry about it every day or try to explain it away to the kids and tell them I'm working on it or whatever. We're in a good spot where we can just take a breath for a minute and kind of set back.
Watch that video, and I could see that you were just like, yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
and
people could tell that the stress was relieved, that, you know, we had some room to breathe, and we hadn't even unpacked yet. We hadn't even put stuff in it yet. And still people could tell that I was already in a different mood that they hadn't noticed in months. Because when the day I told you guys, we were backstage on Griftbusters, and like, I just got a message. It was like, you got 2 months to be out of the house. I'm filing in the court. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, am I not buying this house? Nope, you're not.
I haven't got a choice anymore. You thought you had the option to do that. And you were just, the rug was pulled under you, literally, and you were left
for sure
in a state of shock. And I didn't even realize that when you were putting that across to us. At the time, I was just like, oh, shit, you know, I know that it's a lot grand's less, but I've just had this on my car, this, that, and the other. And I look back on that and I think that was easier to work through than losing your house for your family. Anyway, we're at the other end. And I just think that's great. I think it's great. I think it's
it's good to have. So we cover a lot of negative stuff too. It was good to be, not only to have a feel good story, but to be part of one. I've never had anything like that. I've never had a community that come together and protect me and step in. That was crazy, and it was good to be part of that. It made me feel good. And one of the things we always got called out on was like, oh, well, you're just mean. First of all, no, I'm not. It's comedy. Or you don't help anybody. I don't go out and brag about helping people. Like, of course we help people, and we've done stuff within our community, and our community knows about that, keeping people's lights on or keeping them fed and stuff. And I try to help anytime I could. But the fact that just to be part of that feel good story, even if we did have the hate and the comments and everything else, it was nice to cover one and to be part of it. Was a nice combination for sure.
It was lovely to watch, and it was lovely to be part of the community, because, you know, I'm a part of your community as much as all the others.
Absolutely.
Just happen to be a content creator at the same time, and a friend, and, you know, someone that does shows with you. So
yeah, we're pretty well intertwined.
yeah, we know each other. You know,
sure.
We've bumped shoulders before, but so let's move on to talk about other communities. So there was a community that raised a load of money for you.
Yeah.
Someone that you've done a show for before. You did a show with a guy called Liberty Warrior. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, how did you find him? Like,
All
how
right.
did you know about him?
So the way it all started was I didn't think that I had ever covered him, but apparently he was in a video where I was talking about someone else, and I made a joke or something. So he made a video saying, if this guy comes after me, I'm ready to fight. He's not going to treat us like this, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of covered him, and I was like, well, you're not even on my radar. Like, I'm on much bigger targets and stuff, blah,
Big
blah.
grifters.
And went on about life. But then he started to grow the same as I started to grow. And months later, we were having different interactions with him, and I wouldn't say that he was like grifting. It was more like he wanted to believe in the hopium, and he was trying to play the role of the skeptic, but he wanted to believe in it, and he went back and forth trying to resolve what was true and what wasn't, and just a lot of issues. Well, I had one decent fan that was, well, a really good fan, like probably one of my top fans that had become a community member and had reached out, and we had talked about stuff in the background, and he knew what was going on with my house, and he was a real adamant follower. He reached out to that show and said, hey, well, we got a veteran over here, blah, blah, blah. This is what's happening. Well, that show made a video saying this is bigger than we don't like him, and we don't like his jokes, and he don't like us, blah, blah, blah. This is a bigger deal, so I'd like you guys to go donate. And a lot of communities did that. Pimpy came out, Rice TV came out, most of the Griftbusters came out, all the Griftbusters came out. Everybody, a lot of shows did that. Well, he went later on, a few weeks later, he asked me to be on his show because he said, I've watched your show. I understand you joke a lot, but a lot of your stuff is really fact-based and stuff that we agree with. I just think that your little edge or whatever you've got, which is a character I play, I'm like the edgy comedy, whatever,
Yeah.
like a shock
This is
jock.
not the real Will.
Yeah, he's like,
This is all a
he's
show.
like, I think that kind of bothers them. I think that kind of bothers them. And I was like, sure, but I'll come on your show. But this does, if you want to do a fundraiser show or whatever, I'll come on. Sure. You've got a lot of numbers. I'm already doing other shows. I did something with Pimpy and Griftbusters. And I did that week, I think I did 22 podcasts and shows, went on. Jeez. People trying to help me, or some of them I didn't go on. They just shouted me out and played a little clip. But either way, I was like, yeah, I'll go on yours. This is the week to do it. I'm doing it everywhere else. And I said, but I want to be clear. This doesn't change the way I cover anything. This isn't like a pass. You're not paying for me not to ever cover you if I think something's wrong or different or whatever. Mm. And he's like, yeah, I understand. You do you and I'll do me. And I went on his show and they raised some money. A couple grand, nothing to shake a stick at. They raised a couple grand, but
oh, absolutely. Thank you.
They asked me how much I raised. Yeah. They asked me in the comments how much I raised. And I said, well, over the past 28 hours, because I had done one show really late and I had done one show at the very end really early. I said, over the past 28 hours, all these shows I've been on, I raised about $7,000, which was great. I couldn't believe I'd raised that much in 20 some hours. And they're like, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having you on. Well, the weeks turned into maybe a month or so, and I hadn't covered this guy, hadn't done anything with him. He didn't have anything for me to cover. It wasn't like he bought a pass. He just wasn't nothing to cover. And then suddenly he went on someone else's show who I do cover. So I had to cover the fact that he went on that show. I didn't say anything. I made a joke about maybe he'll ask where to turn in our birth certificates. I need to sell mine, because that was what the guy's show that he was on, Mike Penny. Sorry, we call him Mark over at my show just as a gag. But Mike Penny was the one that was leading the charge on selling your birth certificates and selling your Social Security cards for money to the government, lying to them. So I made a little joke about that. And a couple of people in chat started saying, oh, well, if he's over there, then he's a grifter and he's this, he's that. Well, mostly just a grifter, or he's for numbers, or he's trying to make money. That's why he went over there. And I even said, no, I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to, build a bigger community. Maybe he can win some of those people over. Well, after that happened, not only did the Liberty Warrior get pretty upset, he went on a show of the original person that set this all up, one of my big fans. He went on his show, which comes on after mine, and had a meltdown where he's like, I'll call him out right now. I'll call Will out. I can't believe he did this, blah, blah, blah. And I was in bed. I had no idea what was going on. They were calling me out and saying all these things. And the guy that was supposed to be a big fan of mine that set this up, he didn't defend us. He didn't speak up. He didn't nothing. So it caused a falling out kind of everywhere. And, since then, I've just covered them the same way I would cover everybody else, but they like to bring up like originally we raised a lot of money. Then it was the $7,000 I told them that I raised on all of these shows combined. Then they moved it up somehow to $10,000, and now they use that as like their blanket. Oh, this guy's saying stuff about us, but he's just angry we raised $10,000. It was weird.
Why would you be angry they raised that amount of money for it? And why would you attack someone if you didn't have integrity?
Exactly.
Someone that's raised that amount of money for you, why would you then go and attack them? Like any normal person, any person with a bit less integrity would be like, this guy's raised this much. This is the influence he has. Especially in your situation. You have not bargained the situation that you were in. To be like, look, you've always said, like, I'm so thankful for what you've done there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, this is a separate situation. We need to talk about this, right?
Yeah, and
there's a lot of people that would be like, you know what? Let's not rock the boat. This person is beneficial to me, has raised money for me.
Right.
I think even sometimes people try to buy you off, not you off, but try to buy people off by, I've done a show with you, I've given money to you, I've done this for you, I've given you a shout out, and therefore you are beholden to me. This has happened to me too, and I can name some names. I'm not going to. We're going to talk about you here, but I know this situation. I know the situation where it is, I did you this solid. Usually for me, it's I'm more popular than you, and I made you because I mentioned you. No, fuck off, man. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to treat you like anyone else. I'm not going to have my integrity questioned over my affiliation with you. And this goes for anyone. In fact, anyone that I've not said anything about before. I'll be watching.
Absolutely,
I'll be listening. And if there's something to say, I will say it. There's no one safe because they're affiliated with me or because, and it's the same, obviously, with yourself, especially when it comes to this with people. Let's do a fundraiser for Will. We're all about Will. Hang on a minute, you're lying. You what? I gave you money. I did a fundraiser. We made you this much money. Let's talk about that.
We've even had, I've even had people like do a super chat and be like, well, you timed me out and I gave you this much money. But I think that they thought maybe they were buying a pass, even though I directly told them they were not buying a pass. And they were more upset that I wasn't, I don't moderate my chat a whole lot. I mean, it takes a lot to get on my nerves to the point where you're banned from my chat. But I damn sure don't go in and make sure that you're not talking about this person or that person or can't have an opinion. It was like they were more upset about the chat because all I asked for were a few retractions. I said, here's what you said. Here is the proof that it's not accurate. You always told me that you're the type of guy that would come on and say, I'm right, this person was wrong, I'm making a retraction. I do that. So I figured if I laid it out for you, you'd do that. And they didn't. Instead, they fixated on what was being said in the chat. And then they tried to say that, we only attack and break down. And where he once said, he liked my comedy and laughed at the show. Then he said, oh, this isn't comedy. I'm not buying that. That boat has sailed. And it just, it caused a lot of dissent. One of the main people that was driving all this ended up it was just sticking with me and trying to attack them all the time, sending them emails and stuff every time they would mention me when I wasn't even mentioning it. Ended up only following them. She's still in their group, and they don't say anything to her. But to me, I'm this evil person. They've got their fans convinced just from the repetitive nature of the things they say. Their fans accuse me of stealing from them. Like, no, I came on a show. I told my entire story. They even asked if my sons would come on because they had seen my sons on the show before and my wife. They come on. I told my story. Those people donated. You donated. Whoever donated. I didn't steal anything. You made a decision. I never made you do anything. But Like if I go into their Telegram groups and stuff like that, they're like, I can't believe I donated to this guy. I wish I could take it back. I wish I could have my money. And I'm thinking, I'm still a homeless veteran. Even if you don't agree with me asking for a retraction, I was still a homeless
How
veteran with
screwed
a
up is
family.
that? Let's talk about that, because these people made the conscious decision to make that contribution towards
Sure.
someone who they idolized and said, this guy is a homeless veteran with a family.
Yeah.
Let's do this, right? For that to change and suddenly being like, yeah, but he doesn't support me anymore. Why did I ever do that? Why did
Yeah.
I ever give money to a homeless veteran with a family with nowhere to live? Like, come on, guys.
Those
Let's think about this logically.
those retractions, I think, and the way I've tried to explain it to my fans and my followers is don't engage. That says more about them than it ever does about me. I would give to a homeless veteran, and I don't care if I find out next week that he also used it to buy a truck, or he also didn't buy the food that I wanted him to buy, or that he also doesn't like the sports team that I like. I wouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm going to need that money back. That says a lot about them. With their, like, I donated, I heard his story, which was true. And I still got receipts. I've shown proof. We're literally living in a camper in a campground. And then to say that, well, he doesn't support my guy anymore. I can't believe he doesn't like my guy, or the guy that my intel, or my this, my that. I wish I could take all my money back. That's a pretty sorry move for anybody to say. I wouldn't do it. And I've donated to places and found out later that they didn't even, maybe the donations didn't go the place that I thought they went, or maybe the person running it, I didn't know who was running it and they're really a bad guy, but I still made that decision to donate based on their story, based on what they put out, based on everything. And that donation stands. I'm not asking for it back. I'm not wishing I had it back. I'm not saying I wish I'd have never done that, or they stole it from me. That's all nonsense. And they know it. All over some chat, they got upset and called the man a grifter, which it seems to be now like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've got a guy in a new project we're doing that used to work with these guys, and he had to leave because now they're selling silver, and they're doing Gitmo, and they're doing Intel shows, and now I have to call them out even more. Like the more they do, the more I have to speak on the subject, which I would just like the whole thing to die and go away, but it's not going to. And anybody that would have the integrity that could be bought on a show, or fans, or likes, or a donation, is not something that I want to be around anyways. Like if I knew you covered something I did, and I would have you on and give you fans or subs or donations or whatever, and then you would be like, oh, well, I can't cover that guy, he's my friend. Well, then I wouldn't want to be associated with you. I wouldn't want that spineless type of action.
No.
So if anything, like you said, I showed my integrity by covering them.
We've had this sort of conversations before as well, just to say.
Sure.
We wouldn't hurt each other's integrity for
Sure.
each other to be like that, and I think that's how we respect each other, and how we come together, and how we stuck
Absolutely.
to it. I remember the day when you said you're going to go on. You sent me a message saying, I'm going to go on with this guy called Liberty Warrior.
Yeah.
We're open to having you on. I'll send you the link. I didn't know anything about him.
He actually had asked me. He asked me if he's like, well, so I found out later that I feel like he's very concerned with his numbers and how he appears and growing, and he's very fixated on that. So when I went on, I didn't really add it together, but he's like, you got some friends, right, that you do like podcasts and stuff with? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you can ask them if they want to call in, because it's a call-in show. And I said, oh, okay. But I think that was more fishing for, can I get some subs? But I didn't see that at the time until afterwards. And now I see what he's doing, trying to keep his numbers up.
I kind of felt a bit off when you said about him, but I didn't know anything about him. But I kind of, there was something that just felt off. And I wasn't actually available. If I was available, I would have probably just jumped in on that. You were talking about a guy who has followers. Let's talk.
Yeah,
with him.
I
would be open for that. Kind of glad that I didn't get involved with that.
the reason I even asked anybody is because I had already told him like this doesn't buy a pass, and because he had said, this is bigger than what I do on my show or what you do on your show. This is just about your GoFundMe and your situation and blah blah blah. And I wish I could have held him to that word. Instead, he's manipulated it to make it about his show and his numbers and being attacked and being silenced and all the stuff that all the Q channels do. We're over the target.
What about you being silenced?
No one seems to stand up for that, because not long after that we had that channel struck down, my main channel, and his main followers, who have names like Liberty Warrior something and California Patriot, that have his merch in their profile picture, were bragging about taking us down. We're talking about it on live shows, had screenshots from chats talking about how they reported us and they'll report us again. And I'm huge advocate of don't report anybody unless it's something illegal and you need to stop it or blah, blah, blah. If it's against US law or wherever you're at. I'm a huge proponent of let everybody talk, because we can debate it out and we'll win because the truth is on our side. But apparently they don't, even though they claim it, they don't stand for the same thing. No. They're constitutional republics unless you disagree with them.
They think they do. They think they're all about free speech.
They definitely do.
They're all about let's, and they will paint you in any picture that they like. And this is because a lot of people are delusional.
Yeah.
So they will follow this guy. They will say, well, we're all about free speech. Hang on, someone's attacking our free speech outlet. So
so shut them down.
Not free speech. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter how you're discrediting what they're saying. It doesn't matter anything. No, he's the enemy. He's against free speech. And that's against what we perceive as the person who's projecting this free speech.
Yeah.
And,
they even went later on to kind of insinuate I'm not going to say they said my name. They didn't. But they let their chat say my name and run wild with it with no corrections on Telegram and in their comments and stuff that Liberty received. He told people about receiving death threats. And then their chat suggested that it was me and my following. And we don't make threats. We don't do anything like that. And then one of his main guests made a post saying like, something like, imagine a veteran in a situation where he don't have a home for him and his family, basically my situation without saying my name. And then he's like, and then 3 wealthy people show up and they promise to buy a house and they promise to do this. And the guy doesn't even show up. Sounds kind of sketchy, doesn't it? And his chat again ran wild and said, oh, it must be Cold Beer. It's that guy. It's Cold Beer Confessional, blah, blah, blah. And I got on there and said, I don't know who he's talking about, but this is not me. And then that got me banned for commenting. But they were willing to come in and ban me for saying this isn't me, but they wouldn't correct their chat and be like, I'm not talking about Cold Beer. I'm talking about somebody else, because that is not my story. I would let independently wealthy people build me a house. Sure. But yeah, they without insinuating, they went above and beyond to make their fans even more upset about this, as if I was threatening them or as if I was lying or as if I was pretending and making this up. It was crazy the links they would go through and still claim that they stand for free speech or Constitution or any of that.
Let's talk about, you've got a new podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the Defiant Discourse podcast. So if you've not watched me for a while, I used to have a call-in show and the number stayed on all the time. And when we were smaller, and if you had something that you wanted to discuss and I was talking about it, you're more than welcome to call in and I usually give people like 5 minutes or something. And we might get no calls. We might get 30 calls a show during the 4 hours I did it. But I had to take that away because so many of the other people and the topics that I cover, so many of these brainwashed followers or mindless followers or whatever tried to weaponize it, tried to call in and say, racial slurs or just a string of curse words, or tried to video call in and then show material that's not allowed on YouTube and trying to get me banned, and then they would report it. So we had to stop that. And about the same time that I was kind of getting the urge to kind of get back in that and talk to people and have these debates or whatever, even if I had to pre-screen people, another guy approached me. His name is Sage News Network on YouTube. You can check him out. He was actually I used to watch him. He was a logistics guy. He's a freight broker, so he covered a lot of the shipping container packages and truckers and why stuff isn't on the shelf. And I'd even asked him questions in his chat before, and he'd answer me, and I liked him a lot. Well, he went to pair with that.
That's kind of weird, isn't it? The whole answering back.
Sure.
Doesn't happen, does it?
It doesn't happen a whole lot.
Block. This guy's block.
For sure. The fact that he answered me told me, like, even though I was kind of challenging him and he still answered, told me a lot about him. So I liked his channel, even though I hadn't seen much. I'd seen maybe like a month's worth of his videos, and he does multiple videos a day. So that's quite a few videos, but he actually went to pair with, he was invited on and was brought in under this Liberty Warrior Nation network, umbrella, the same way that I think they wanted me to do if they could have bought me. And he went on, and I'm thinking, oh no, this guy's going to turn. This guy's going to start with Gitmo. This guy's going to start with clones. And so I watched from afar. I never commented or anything. And I noticed that he wasn't really pushing their same narrative. And I thought, well, maybe he's not going to fall. Maybe this just isn't going to work. And they brought him on a show to debate, and logistics is his thing. And the topic was logistics. But they kind of buried him, and they let chat attack him, and they let other people come on and attack him because their favored intel guy disagreed with him, even though he was wrong. And Sage was right. He disagreed with him. And that was kind of the start of the downfall. Some other stuff happened that he explains better than I did. But that when I saw that, I thought it's over with. It's over with. And then after he left the network and everything else happened, he approached me and said, hey, let's do a podcast together. I think we would have a good back and forth. I think we could do this. I think we can make it big. He's like, I know your situation with your house and the camper and stuff. And he's like, I'm good financially. I work from home, make decent money, blah, blah, blah. He's like, we can even do a thing where you can have all the donations and money until we make it huge. We can put it in writing. We can do whatever you want, but I just want a chance to have a show with you, and we can actually debate the topics with other people, guests that come on, people who call in. And I was like, yeah, let's try it. And since the first time we've been together, we do have, you've seen it. We have a good back and forth.
You guys are great,
we kind of go together well.
So, again, say your podcast name.
It is the Defiant Discord podcast, the Defiant Discord podcast. It's only on YouTube right now, but we're fixing to do episode 1. That's not just like all jumbled together. We're fixing to do a real episode, and then we're going to pull the audio, and it'll be available everywhere podcasts are too, like Spotify or whatever. So
I enjoyed watching what you've done with Sage so far. I enjoyed the intro to your podcast. You guys got chemistry, so I think that podcast will do well.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. It's a weekly Thursdays at 8 p.m. And yeah, like I said, it's hard to find. Like I like a lot of people, and I'd be interested in doing a show with a whole lot of people, but it's hard to find somebody that you just like. He knows as soon as I'm going to be finished, and he's already starting, and I know when he's fixing to finish something, and I'm already starting, and that's without really knowing each other well. So imagine when we have time together and do a show for a year, it'll just roll right off. So it does well.
Absolutely. If you could roll off, let's say 5 highlights of your show for the last month, right? So you covered many grifters, you watched many videos, you've watched, and I say covered grifters, you've watched influencers' videos and said, hang on a minute, they're talking shit. Let's tell people that are watching this that have not watched your show or have done and not subscribed yet, doesn't know what the value is on watching your show.
Sure.
Let's give 5 reasons, 5 things that you've covered recently.
The first one that I would name is we exposed Gene Decode. We went out and I went through this big, long investigation where he accidentally flashed his email one time. I went back through, found everybody, found his family, found his mom, found out who he was, found out, yeah, he did serve in the Navy, but he has no connections now. And everything he's been lying to you about is absolutely a lie. There's no doubt anymore. I found out who he was. Before, it was just like, he's a danger. He said he serves in the Navy. He says he serves this, but just off his email that he showed on a one time on a Kirsten W show, I took that email, back to TripAdvisor, back to where he named himself and his wife, back to where they went to a dinner for, he's always bragging about a veterans charity, and I found the dinner they were at, found them in formal wear, found their house, found military records, found everything on him, and laid it all out there in a big kind of exposed show kind of way. It was a big deal when that hit, because a lot of people believe Gene Decode and deep underground military bases, and he's still a colonel or a general or whatever. And none of that's true. He's kind of an old washed up kind of guy that doesn't do a whole lot, made a lot of money selling oil and oil reserves on his land, and kind of just an old washed up guy looking for something to do. And apparently that thing to do is to lie about what's going on in the country. And I wanted other people to take it and make sure I wasn't, jumping to conclusions and going to just dox somebody, their face. I didn't give out his address, just his name and his face. But I wanted other people to check it. So I sent it through 3 different sources. 2 of them work in the intelligence world. I know that's a hot button topic for everybody, but 2 of them do work in the intelligence world in offices. They reviewed it. And the other one was halfway around the world in Australia, and he does a little bit of background investigation and stuff. And I asked him, can you review this? And if you come to the same conclusion I do, I want to put it out. And he did, and I put it out there. And then some other agencies or news organizations picked it up and ran with it. I'm not saying they might not never watch my show. That trail has been there for at least a year, probably. I've had it for 6 months.
What's number 2?
I would say the next one is probably everything going on in Dallas, because that's probably going to turn bad before it ever gets any better. So if you don't know Negative 48, we exposed Negative 48 to him and his son, who was with him, and Tom Numbers, when they all went to they all ended up in Washington, D.C. for the 9/11 memorial. I found a video clip of him. Found people saying his name, found people saying his son is a junior of him. We found his ex-wife. We found basically everything and put it out there. And outlets were doing it too simultaneously. I think it was all around the same time. And but he's basically started a modern day cult down in Dallas, to where he's got people to agree to do crazy stuff. Stand out on a bridge all day and tell him JFK Jr.'s coming. Believe that JFK Sr. has a secret Twitter account that he's actually running. He's been exposed by other people for being the person who ran it, because he's the one who started it. It was literally Michael Protzman was the name of the account when it first started. But now it's JFK Sr. He's got people dressing themselves in toilet paper like mummies to sing to him. He's got families saying that my sister, my wife, my whatever significant other went down there a month ago, hasn't been back. She donated $200,000. I can't pay the mortgage on our house. They even went out and visited Waco, and I'm sure you know about Waco, but they visited the Waco site which is like where another massive cult ended. Whether it was wrong or right or indifferent, it doesn't matter. They are doing some crazy cult like stuff, and no one's calling them. What's that?
Well, I said certainly. I think people are starting to call them now.
Yeah, they are now.
Where because we've heard these stories of people. My sister has been taken in by this cult. You can't describe it as anything else now than a cult. But I had someone message on my YouTube earlier saying, yeah, but you don't know, and this guy is a savior, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? No dead people turned up to Dallas. Let's because they put loads of numbers, right? Gematria, right? Okay,
sure.
You don't know what you're talking about. Here you go. Here's 198, and this is what that means. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a fun war, and no dead people turned up. And they say, well, they did at the Rolling Stones concert.
Yeah, disguised as the band. Like, it's wild. Actually, I would like to give some shout outs to 2 Twitter accounts. There's one called karma underscore 2021.
Yeah.
And the other one is called at hot tub. I think it's underscore twins or at hot tub twins. But anyways, they've been covering it daily and busting stuff out. And one of the videos from his secret Telegram chat he did the other day showed that they believe that NSA is the only good secret agency in the U.S. They're working with Trump, who is secretly still the president. And even if you're not using your phone, as long as your phone is present in the room, that Trump can hear you and he listens to you and he speaks back to you in gematria in his Twitter post from El Donaldo Trumpo or whatever. El Donaldo Trumpo.
Account.
A gag Twitter account. It's Mexican Trump. It's not really Trump. They think that he's speaking to them in these gematria numbers. And when he went to Dallas and no one showed up, a lot of channels that were saying he was an archangel, he was telling the truth, numbers don't lie, I've read it, I didn't used to believe it, now I do. They just deleted all their shit of him. But some stayed strong. Some are still pushing him. Some are still going. And it's scary to think that many people are down there for a month, left their families, kids, jobs, homes. Over a month now, a month and probably today's the 8th. We're recording this. So a month and 6 days. They've been down there and haven't seen their kids. What do you, that's a cult. That's indoctrination. Shocking. That's crazy. He called some of his biggest believers, one of the people who set up a spreadsheet that was where are we all going to stay, who's going to pay for it, because not everybody had money to pay for hotel rooms. They pulled their money just like a good little cult does. They pulled their money for hotel rooms and food and travel. One of them that set up that spreadsheet and did it was like after the weekend when JFK Sr. didn't show up, they're like, well, I still believe, I'm sorry, but I've got to go back to work. I've got a job and a family and blah, blah. And he started casting them out as non-believers. They're not part of this. They're not. And there were people that worked hard for him, moderators and made spreadsheets and followed him around across it. But now they're non-believers because they left after his date. And it's some people he could have said anything to. Some people were needed to see it and leave. And then some people are just kind of in limbo. They don't know. They don't know who to follow or what to do. And they've got so much in this already. How do you cut your losses? I think that's the way a lot of them feel.
I think a lot of people feel like they've given this, as you say, they've given this much. They've put in a gamble.
Sure. Yeah. It's a sunken cost fallacy, I think is what it's called, where you got too much in it and you can't cut your losses now because you're too invested. I'm going to do the last three together because they're kind of intertwined. So the last three would be probably more than three. So like Phil Godlewski, Lynn Wood, Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, Patrick Byron. These people, I'm pretty sure, from what I can see, is they see the end of QAnon coming. Brad Barton's another one. They see the end of this wave coming, and they're all trying to grab the biggest piece of the pie they can. So they're all fighting each other. They're all calling each other out. They're saying this guy was never on our team. That guy was never on our team. This person made everything up. By the way, send me some money, or we're starting a network, or we're starting a super PAC, or we're pulling money together for a news network. Or they're all seeing the end. And where they used to work with 100 people, now they're saying, well, this pie that's going to be the last great cash grab, it splits a lot smaller 100 ways than it does 50 ways. So I can call this guy out, and I can call that guy out, and I can get rid of this person, and I can drop these texts that I've been saving, and I record all my phone calls so I make them look bad. And all of these people at once are saying, I need to get rid of some people so I get a bigger piece of the pie. I need to get rid of some people so more people donate to my super PAC. I need to get rid of some people so more people donate to my news network. I need to get rid of some people. We just saw Mike Penny and ML, who had been together forever, pushing this -48 gematria, JFK is Jesus kind of deal, the -48 stuff. They just broke up, and apparently it's over. One of them got a Roku TV offer, and it's a bigger piece of the pie with one person eating the pie than it is two. I think that all these people see the end coming, and it's like a game of hungry hippos. If you're the only one playing, eventually all the balls roll around to you. So it's better than to fight for all of them. It's better to cut those people off and just let all the balls roll to you to where you can scrape the biggest piece in. And I don't know so much that I haven't seen what Flynn's master plan is, other than name recognition, followers, blah blah blah. I'm sorry, that Lynn Wood, other than name recognition, followers. Everybody else is getting mixed up, including Lynn Wood. Some he just hasn't done it publicly. Everybody else is getting mixed up in pyramid schemes and silver and stocks and bonds and super PACs and news networks. And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you start a legitimate news network and you're the CEO, I mean, most news network CEOs are making millions of dollars a year. Like, it's not just, I need a donation because I need to get the truth out there. It's like, I'm going to run this super PAC. I'm going to run this news studio. I'm going to run this. I'm going to run that. We need money to get started, but it's going to also be the job that I'm going to take for the rest of my life to do nothing and collect this money. So I would say the last three are you just have to kind of watch it because it changes and develops daily, but it's everybody throwing everybody under the bus to get the biggest piece of pie that they can get before the pie's all gone. And there, no one's going to see the end coming better than they are, and they see it coming, and they're entwined in it. They know it's coming.
And that's the point here. Let's end it on this note.
Sure.
They know it's coming. It is
Absolutely.
ending. As you said in your the podcast that I saw with Sage, you know that it's coming to an end. It is. Yep. It's going to come to an end soon, and people are going to wonder what the hell happened. How did I ended up doing this? It's going to be a massive wave or something. I concur. I believe that's going to happen.
Because these, like, I am a conservative and I am right wing and I did vote for Trump, and I can see the other side trying to lump us all together. And I want people to know that I stood against this craziness when they use like the Patriot Act to start rounding people up and seizing people's bank accounts. I wasn't there. I didn't go to Dallas. I told them it was a lie. I don't want to be noted for like a respect to the history book or name recognition. I want people to know that I stood up against this because it's coming to an head where I think law enforcement is going to be involved. I think they're going to seize assets. They're going to declare people homeland terrorists. Whether that's right or wrong, it's coming. I said it the other night, and I try to say it often enough. When this bubble pops, even though there is something weird going on, there's stuff, backdoor deals, there needs to be more transparency. Governments are messed up. What they've been told this entire time is a lie. They've pushed their families away. We're about to have a worldwide mental health crisis with hundreds of thousands of people who believe this stuff. They're going to figure out it's all wrong, and they're not going to have anybody to turn to. So I would like those people to know that, like me and you or whatever, like, yeah, I made fun of it. Yeah, you exposed it and made jokes, but you could come join our community when this is all over. Absolutely. And you finally see it. Even if you're not ready now, you can come join. We'll help you any way we can, because I've been through mental health issues, and I'm sure you have too. And they're going to have a hard time dealing with this.
And we've got your back.
Sure.
These people that are listening to us and going, you know what, they might have a point. You are not alone. You are amongst many, many people.
Yes. Most of my audience are people who everybody's fallen for something. And most of my audience came from Scott McKay, and they saw him freak out on me, or Liberty Warrior, and they saw him freak out. Like, people are seeing this every day and then thinking, well, that's not the typical reaction. So something must be going on over there. And there's room for many more. I'm not saying you have to come to me or you have to come to him. Just find somebody rather than trying to deal with it on your own, especially if you've pushed your family away, your friends away, all non-believers away. These skeptic communities about it are already dealing with that. I get new people every day who used to believe it. M gets new people every day who used to believe it. And there's people that can help you. Every time I see somebody in the comments say, I can't believe I used to believe this, I feel so stupid. Everybody falls for something, and most of my audience fell for this. You're in light company. You don't have to be ashamed or whatever. Come hang out with us. It's good. We got it.
Well, I thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Check out the new podcast, the Defiant Discourse podcast, Thursdays at 8 p.m. And come check me out at Cold Beer Something. I got all the Cold Beer channels. Come check us out.
Coldbeer.live is the...
Coldbeer.live is redirects to my most current platform. Wherever I'm at, coldbeer.live goes there.
And you'll find that link in the description. Take it easy, but I'm Secret Truth here with Will Byrd, Cold Beer Confessional. Take care.
See you guys.